Hello, everyone. This is a recording of the CNC Summer Prep series. I was talking about your plan and your story. We did this event today and the recording didn't go through, so I am just re-recording to give you all the information you need. So I will skip over some of this stuff, but today what we talked about was kind of introducing the Career Management Center, explaining the summer career prep program, and then we went into, the importance of telling your story, answering that tell me about yourself question, and then we took some time to practice your story. So ultimately, our CMC goal is to help you advance your career. The way that we support you is through workshops like this one, and also through one-on-one coaching, job search small groups, and through bringing employers onto campus. Today, we're going to be talking about your story and plan, which is kind of our third step on this pyramid of job search kind of process. So, why is it important, your story and plan? Explaining who you are concisely is a really important skill. We all kind of understand what our experiences are because we've lived them, but it's difficult to explain that to another person and have it totally make sense and have it be kind of concise. And it also helps if we practice our story and plan, it can show that we're very sure of our path, even if our path right now is that we want to explore different options. Over on this side, in the past few workshops, we talked about Ikigai and kind of understanding these things about yourself. So understanding what you love, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs. If you're kind of certain of those things, then it'll be a lot easier to really convey that you're understanding your path and also understanding kind of what your purpose is and why you're following this path towards your career. So I'm a counseling student. So for this reason, I'm bringing in one of these counseling frameworks that we talked about in my program, and it can also apply to careers. So hopefully, kind of looking at on this side, foreclosure is having made a choice that you really didn't think about. So if you're in this master's program, not sure how you got here, kind of landed here on accident, that would be foreclosure. Identity diffusion would be like, I have no clue what I'm doing with my life. I've made no decisions. And none of you are in that situation because you're in a master's program. So from there, this is probably where many of you are, is this moratorium, kind of exploring your options, deciding like what it is that you want to do with your life while you're in this program and even after this program. And identity achievement is that you've explored a lot. Maybe you've had a lot of different types of jobs, and now you know exactly what you want to do with your life. So being very certain over your story, having that kind of clear idea of who you are, where you come from, it can really convey that you're like aware of your story, and it can help you maintain agency and power over that story when you're talking to other people. So the dreaded tell me about yourself question, you're going to be asked this question in professional interactions for basically the rest of your life. So you might as well have a really great answer for it. And practicing it, it doesn't make you sound robotic. It just makes you sound like sure of yourself, as long as that answer is very like true to who you are and kind of fits with the way that you normally talk. Studies have shown that about 33% of managers decide within the first 90 seconds if they're going to hire you. And a lot of times that 90 seconds consists of you telling them about yourself. So it's really important to kind of nail this and really be sure of your answer and have practiced it beforehand. So a good answer normally consists of personal stories that are memorable and have some energy behind them, usually show that you really care about what you're doing. And stories that tell your career whys rather your career whats are memorable and have energy. So instead of talking about what you did, which is like what's on your resume, and really what the rest of an interview or conversation is about, this is where you get to talk about your whys. So why you got into this master's program, how you got interested in it, and all of those things. So I am going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'm going to reshare it so that we can watch this video together.
Hi, I'm Steve Dalton, Program Director of Daytime Career Services with the Career Management Center, and today's topic is the long 2-minute pitch. We're going to cover 3 main questions in today's session. First, what is a long pitch and when do you use it? Second, what is the purpose of the long pitch? And third, how do you create a long pitch? First, what is a long pitch and when do you use it? A long pitch is something that you use only in interviews, either job interviews or informational meetings. It is 2 minutes in duration, and it covers the whys rather than the whats of your story. The whys are what's really interesting about you. What makes you tick? Why did you make the decisions you made? The whats are already in your resume, and you'll have ample time later in the interview to discuss those. A common mistake people make with their long pitch is they sell themselves. You have an entire rest of your interview to sell yourself. This is the one question where you have a chance to establish rapport and likability with your interviewer. This is your one chance to talk about why you are the person you are. To help you deliver an effective long pitch, I've developed the FIT model. This will help you convey the right information efficiently in your interviews. FIT stands for favorite part, improvement desired, and transition made. You'll want to present FIT for each stage of your career leading up to now. So for me, as a former chemical engineer in college, I might say this. My favorite part of being a chemical engineer was learning how to break down big problems into smaller pieces. But the improvement I desired was applying that rigorous logic to a wider variety of challenges. So the transition I made upon graduation was entering the strategy consulting industry with A.T. Kearney. You would repeat this FIT model for each stage of your career. It's an easy way for you to highlight your favorite parts, your passions in your previous work. It's also a very elegant way for you to highlight promotions that you received and explain any job changes that you may have made. If you've had many roles in your past, it's okay to group similar roles together. Similarly, feel free to omit certain parts of your career path that are not germane to the discussion about your current job search. In summary, the key to success for a good long pitch is to cover the whys of your career and not the whats. You'll have plenty of time to discuss the whats of your career later in the interview, but this is your one chance to form rapport with your interviewer, and likability largely determines your success in getting an invitation to the next round.
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing this and then I will come back to our presentation. Okay, so Steve Dalton here is giving us just one framework to answer your story and kind of convey it to your audience using the FIT model. So the way that he explains it is F is your favorite part of the job. You can also frame it differently, you know, the thing I most enjoyed or stuff like that. And then we kind of change improvement made to be insight. So I realized that, whatever you realized from that role. And then your transition made is going to be, so I decided to pursue a master's of whatever you're pursuing, and kind of explaining where you are now and how you got there. So a couple tips about fits are that you should really just choose one favorite to talk about. You don't want to list because it might, you know, drag on or just kind of start to sound a little robotic or maybe even untruthful. And also framing your insights positively. So even if your last role, you really didn't enjoy it, you want to talk about, kind of spin it positively, explain what you are looking for instead of what you had. So the second framework for conveying your story is through this past, present, future model. So in the past, you'll explain where you were before, whether that's your undergrad experiences, a past job, and however you explain it, you want to explain sort of what your roles were and then what actions came from the learning that you achieved through that. Then you'll explain the present, which for all of you is going to be that you're in a master's program pursuing what you're pursuing and explaining why you're here, as well as what you hope to get from the experience. And then for future, you will explain why, you know, the opportunity you're looking for now excites you, and how you can add value to that organization. All right. So kicking off your story in both frameworks, for fit, the favorite part of the experience can really show somebody like what type of work you typically gravitate towards. And in the past, present, future framework, the past can include anything to kind of connect with somebody else on, like your majors in undergrad, or, you know, your hometown or how you got here through your early passions. For both frameworks, this is kind of how you're introducing yourself. It's really how you're making your impression. So for fit, you would also want to add on at the beginning, like, your name and who you are, and kind of something to kind of bring them in and relay on a more human level together. In terms of closing out your story, so the transition made, that will explain how you ended up where you are right now and tell them, where you are now. While the past, present, future will explain kind of your plan, like what role you're seeking next. And in both frameworks, this is an opportunity to explain both your plan as well as what kind of value you can add to that person's organization. All right, so on the workshop, what we did from here was an exercise. Stop sharing again to show you the document. We did an exercise where you could kind of fill in your story and plan. I will pull this up for you all now so that you can look at it. But please, if you're interested in this, let me know. And I will share my document with you. So what we did was, here's Steve Dalton's fit example. And then here's kind of your opportunity to fill in the blanks for your fit. And then same thing down here. Here's your story. And then how you would fill in your past, present, future framework. So with that being said, that's kind of what we did during the first breakout room. And then from there, we did our next breakout room, which was just practicing your story. So you can feel free to meet with a career coach, talk with anybody, and kind of get some practice doing this before, it's the real deal. Key takeaways from this workshop were, you're always going to be asked, tell me about yourself. So you might as well have a really great answer for it since you know that going in. Your story should really tell the whys of your career rather than the whats, which is more what your resume and the rest of the interview are for. And depending on the setting, the way that you explain your story is going to change. It could be 30 seconds. It could be 2 minutes. It just depends. And these are some key resources, really important stuff. And again, there's an example of this staircase framework in the Google document, and please let me know if you need access to it. But all of these are kind of talking about first impressions, and then, some other videos and examples to look for while you're kind of preparing this stuff. And for our next workshop, which is going to be on June 22nd, please bring your resume. It can be the resume that you applied to the program with, but it would be great and probably more useful to you if you bring in a resume that's kind of updated with how the past year has been and what types of things you've done. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing, and thank you all so much.